Alright, hi. So, this is a video in which I'd like to talk about the significance of Albus Severus Potter possibly being in Slytherin. Now, I know what you're thinking. This chick is a Potterhead. She is a fucking nerd. What is she doing? Well, I'll tell you this. I wrote this essay a couple years ago, and I'm pretty proud of it because, not proud of the essay, proud of what I'm saying, because I know there are people out there who agree with me, who've written stuff before me about this issue, and I just want to get my opinion out there. So, without further ado, why Albus Severus Potter should possibly be in Slytherin. We all know Harry told his son Albus Severus that if it really bothered him, he could tell the Sorting Hat he'd rather be in Gryffindor than Slytherin. The thing is, though, what if Albus was really sorted into Slytherin? First, we must acknowledge a theory about Harry himself almost being sorted into Slytherin. Since Harry was a Horcrux, Harry possessed characteristics of Voldemort, such as his ability to speak Parseltongue. Yes, we know that. So quite possibly the Sorting Hat was picking up on these said characteristics of Voldemort within Harry, and thus said he would have done well in Slytherin. Yet Harry himself, apart from the fragment of Voldemort's soul within him, also possesses many traits that Slytherin House looks for. As it says on the Harry Potter wiki, according to Albus Dumbledore, the qualities which Salazar valued in the students he chose included cleverness, resourcefulness, determination, and a certain disregard for the rules. Dumbledore noted that all of these qualities were possessed by Harry Potter, who was in Gryffindor. In addition, Slytherins are also strong, clever leaders that think about how things will affect themselves before acting. And I guess this last one doesn't really affect, or Harry doesn't possess, because he doesn't really think before he acts. Hero complex, but we love him anyways. We do not know much about Albus Potter, but if we assume that his nature is much like Harry's, as it seems to be in the epilogue, then it is also possibly safe to assume that he will have many of the same Slytherin-like characteristics Harry has himself, without the help of Voldemort's fragmented piece of soul. Therefore, it is possibly very likely that Albus could indeed be in Slytherin. Once we acknowledge the obviousness and the basics, then we move on to opinions. There might be many people out there who want Albus to be in Gryffindor, like virtually his entire family has been, and there are others out there who want Albus to be in Slytherin. If Albus is indeed sorted into Slytherin House, then the whole perception on Slytherins change, if not already changed by Severus Snape, for whom Albus is named. Snape set the way for shattering the illusion of Slytherins with his bravery and unrequited love. They can't all be bad. Snape ultimately wasn't, Slughorn wasn't either, and I bet there are more out there who weren't either. Just because Salazar Slytherin and his supposed last heir Voldemort were prejudiced doesn't mean the majority of them all. As said earlier, Slytherins are clever and resourceful and think through their decisions. They have wonderful qualities to their house, but it's often overshadowed by the prejudice the other houses show towards Slytherin. Perhaps the Slytherins feel as though they're supposed to act that way since their parents did before them and all the other houses expect that of them. Or maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's plausible that the Slytherins are forced to think as they do and are never given the chance to prove themselves to be good and wonderful people. They don't have to inherit prejudice. This is why it's so important that Albus possibly be sorted into Slytherin. As shown in his nature in the epilogue, which is so similar to Harry's and Lily Evans before him, Albus could carve the way into a new future for the Slytherins. In this future, Slytherins would be depicted as a good house to be sorted into, just like the other three. The Slytherins would finally have good to their name, if not already because of Snape. The house can't be all that bad. And this is a Gryffindor/Ravenclaw speaking. We all have a bit of all the houses within us. Who knows, maybe you're a Slytherin as well. Maybe I am, but, Pottermore says I'm not. Anyways, ultimately, it's fine, because Slytherin House is not a bad house. It is a good house, conceivably pressured into being the way it is. But it can change, and knowing J.K. Rowling, it most likely did. Now, I'd also like to bring up two other Slytherins that ultimately were good in the end. Andromeda, Bellatrix and Narcissa's sister, ultimately was good in the end. And not just because she married Ted Tonks, a Muggle-born, but because she put herself onto the good side despite the prejudices in her family. That is really, really admirable. And then also Regulus Black. He did join the Death Eaters, and he did become one of Voldemort's followers, but he ultimately did bring part of his downfall because he realized what he was doing was wrong, and he went around it another way. And so there you have it. It's not bad to be a Slytherin. If you're a Slytherin, I actually think that's really awesome. I think being a Slytherin is like being a super duper small minority, except you're not small, in like the real world. You have so much to live up to, but you can do it. I mean, you're Slytherins. You can do it. And so from your fellow student, even though I'm a Ravenclaw, as by Pottermore, and a Gryffindor, as by basically what I grew up as, I think Slytherins are awesome people. And Hufflepuffs too. Don't think I'm forgetting Hufflepuff. All right. See you guys next time.